It's one of the most popular perennials in gardens throughout the world, and that shouldn't surprise you. There's an endless array of colors and sizes, which is part of what makes them so versatile.
Another aspect of these particular flowers is they can actually bloom multiple times, as long as you treat them right. Well, guess who's with us this afternoon? The person to tell us exactly how that works, our resident gardening expert, Ginny Rosenkranz with the University of Maryland Extension. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys
doing?
doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. And thank you for let me bring my friends to you guys.
Tell us about your friends.
Okay, these are German iris, which means that they like it really cold, but they can handle the heat, which is real good. And they love our sandy soil, which is perfect because a heavy clay soil gives them, rots and nasty things like that. So, our sandy soil, they just go like gangbusters. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to bring them in today, because they get to be so big and so out of control that you do need to do a little bit of TLC. So I'm going to show you really, really quickly.
Okay.
So, like for instance,
Leaning in.
this one right here, these guys I've already gone ahead and trimmed, so you can see it's a type of rhizome. And you'd want to go ahead and plant it so that this much is underground where these roots are,
right,
and this part up here is on top.
Okay.
And the top is all clean. All of the disease spots are removed. This is how you want all of your iris to look, in the ground. You don't have to dig them up all the time, but when you do dig them up, you want to go ahead and take off the old dead wood. And you actually want to let it go ahead and sit for like a day or two for this area here to harden off.
Before you put it back in the ground?
Before you put it back in the ground.
See, boy, I'm glad you said. I'd have panicked.
I know a lot of
put it
people are
back
like,
in
oh
there.
my gosh, it needs to go back in. Well, let me show you what I start out with. So I've got this monster thing right here of all kinds of stuff, and I'm just going to pull one apart. Now, believe me, I have something to keep all the dirt together. But right here, this right here is completely dead. So it's just sitting there. It's decomposing, which is not a bad problem.
Okay, so let me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to
Sure.
interrupt. The part that you're pointing at is dead. It's all wrinkled. It's all.
Yes.
I mean, it looks dead. The rest of it is smooth. And,
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yes, and what's happening is the parts that are alive are much rounder
Yeah.
and vibrant, and they actually have leaves. So I'm just going to go ahead and you can break it off, or you can go ahead and cut it off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off real quick, and just go ahead and zap like that. There we go. And so now I've got two. This one, actually, I've got three.
Ah.
Oh.
And actually I can do ahead and
Another one, yeah.
four. And all of this is dead.
Okay.
Toss it out. And so what you do with these little guys is you want to go ahead and trim off some of the foliage, just like that.
I'm terrible with this.
Sure.
Why?
Okay, mostly because now you have a smaller base.
Right.
And all that foliage up there would make it top heavy for a while.
Okay,
And it
gotcha.
just makes it easier to go ahead and fit it into the ground.
Gotcha.
So once again, the rhizome right here, half of it has to stay above ground.
Mm-hmm.
And all the part where the roots, where my fingers are right now, that would be below ground.
Okay. Okay.
So that's easy to do.
How often should we do that?
Once every 3 to 5 years. And have I done that every 3 to 5 years? It depends on how crazy my garden is. This is the stuff you want to remove. See how that's a disease that's caused by rainwater in the early springtime, and it's just one of those things that happens. But you can go ahead and remove it, and then when you start out again with a little plant like this, it's a new, clean plant. It doesn't have any diseases. It's going to be so happy. It's going to go, oh, look at this. New growth will come out, and then you'll have beautiful flowers. Now, there are some rebloomer ones that bloom early in the springtime.
Yeah.
I love that. And then they bloom again in the fall. It's like, yes, this is so cool.
Now that's what I was wondering. Do they bloom throughout the year?
No.
Just spring?
They don't like to bloom in the heat of summer.
Okay.
So they're waiting until fall, and then they'll go ahead and surprise us with flowers.
Now is this the iris borer, or tell us about that?
Okay, the iris borer will go ahead and attack irises when
okay.
you have all of this old stuff, and it's like really, really too many plants. Like right here, I have like too many plants right here together, and the iris borer goes, oh, these guys are stressed because there are too many plants, there's not enough room, and the iris borer will go right into it. And when the iris borer bores into it, then it can bring diseases.
Now, I'm a little stupid here. The iris borer is a bug, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know that at first,
Oh,
but
I'm
now I
sorry.
do. That's
Yes,
okay.
the
But
iris-
that's why it's important to do everything that you just.
Absolutely.
Okay.
See, the iris borer actually bores into it, which is why they call it borer. Entomologists are so creative. If it bores into something,
It's a borer.
It's called a
bug.
borer.
Yes. I just
But I'm sorry, you were saying it takes stuff in with it.
So when it does that, as it's feeding on the roots of the and the rhizomes of the irises, it is leaving a hole that diseases can get into. Sometimes it could just be a rain event that would come in, and then that would cause the rhizome to start to get rotten.
Okay.
Yes, so it's just trying to keep everything nice and clean and keep everything happy.
Now, would you be able to tell if an iris borer has bored into your irises?
Yeah, you could go ahead and look at, like for instance, I'm pulling this one out. If a iris borer had gotten into this, you would see the hole.
Holes, okay.
Yeah, because, you know, like any type of bug that's large enough to go ahead and do that, you can see that. Even the smallest, tiniest bugs, they always leave either hole, and then they have the stuff that comes out, which would be sawdust or bug poop. Lots of different names. One of them is frass. You know, it's just.
But you can't tell until you dig them up, or do you?
No, you'll see it right on the
that's
top.
above the ground.
Yes, you'll
That's
see it right up. Yes,
okay, sorry.
Yes. No, and the other thing is once they start to rot, there's a definite smell.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and that's kind of like, whew. Wait a minute, who's gone bad?
Who's going bad? Wow.
Yes, and you really want to remove them at that point.
How about that?
Yes.
All right, so let's say that I don't have any right now. When's a
Okay.
good time to plant?
Oh, I think that anytime you can get an iris is a good time to
Put it in.
plant. Yes. Early spring is always good. Late fall is always good. Right now it's really hot and dry, but these guys don't mind hot and dry. So as long as you go ahead and make sure that you have the roots underground
Right.
and the top above, at the top of the rhizome, at least the top half above. That's great. I mulch around mine, and that keeps the weeds down. So I have to be really careful when I put mulch on top. I have to brush all the mulch off the rhizome so that it will be happy.
Sunlight.
Loves full sun, absolutely loves full sun. Can tolerate a little bit of afternoon shade. But, and you know, if you're planting them and then your trees and your shrubs grow bigger, and that's what's happening in my garden. I'm
Right.
going, okay, how much? But they're still thriving, you know, so it's, you know, I just know they don't bloom as much when they don't have full sun.
Gotcha.
Yes. And you'll be surprised when people say, oh, my irises stopped blooming. The first thing I said is, do you share your irises? These are giveaway plants. These are plants you should share with your friends. And they said, well, no, these were my grandmother's. I don't want to, these are mine. Well, I said, well, I bet your grandmother shared them all the time. And that's why they always bloom for her, because she would divide them and give them space.
Give them room.
Mm-hmm. Give them room to grow. Just like children, they need room to grow.
That's good to know.
My goodness.
I would be
what
one,
would
like,
we
I
do
don't-
without you?
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking
You
about
are
this.
the best. Ginny Rosenkranz, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Jenny.